Good evening and welcome to the Cardinals Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham along with Cardinals head football coach Matt Nally joining you from the lounge here in the Championship Center. And we'll talk about the different functions and uses of this room because it's another busy place all the time.
Yes, sir.
But we're going to look ahead to a game this Friday in Frisco. But first of all, we're going to look backwards to a game at Coach Kenny Deal Stadium just a few days ago. The Cardinals were victorious over Frisco Independence. The final score was 75-6.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. First off,
do you want me to do my stats first?
Yeah,
you're going to give your commentary first?
You go.
All right. So, as you know, I told you this, and I told your coaches during the game, you tied the school record for most points in a game.
Yes, sir.
At 75. Yes, sir. Tying the game back in September 2004, so 20 years ago.
Wow.
75-0 over Red Oak Crusader Academy.
Wow.
Coach Rick Gagrin.
Heck yeah.
Put it on him.
Yeah, Coach Gagrin.
So 75 points tied your school record for most points in a game, but it's actually the third largest margin of victory ever.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, the 75-0 was the largest margin of victory back in 2004. And then what was number two?
Oh my goodness. This is a guess, and I was the OC this year. Was it against Sanger?
No, sir. That was 68 points.
Okay.
70-0 over Ranchview in 2021.
Golly, I'm the head coach then.
That's right.
Yeah.
So 75-0. Obviously, that's the largest margin of victory. 70-0 over Ranchview, and then the third largest margin of victory, 75-6.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Over Frisco Independence, third largest margin of victory. So, the question I was leading to, you knew I've told you a lot. 75 points. You have other things to think about. I understand that, right? But you could have gone for two at the end there.
I could have.
Did you think about it?
No.
Did your coaches tell you that I told them?
Yes, they did. They said, Brother Graham has a piece of paper up against the window.
Well, I'm busy calling a game, right? So I'm writing a note and sticking it in the window just because I wanted them to know, right? So they told you that I told them.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then?
It's to that point, and then, when the game was over, I've said this a couple times.
Because it was 68, you scored once more. So kicking it made it 75. You could have gone for two to set the record. Did you deliberate?
No, I did not. The last couple weeks, I've been in this kind of funny deal with my wife. My wife should have been the coach, and I might have been in human resources, just because of the fact of some of the things that we've talked about the last few weeks, and that was brought up over the weekend, and my wife was like, "You should just broke the record," And I was like, because when I came off the field after the game, you never want to do that to anybody, right. and whatnot. And there's people out there going to say, they have to stop you and all those things.
It's true.
And blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's obviously I'm about Melissa kids, but I'm about all kids, and I don't want anyone. I know what coaches go through, and that's another thing too, that people think that that coach isn't a very good coach or whatever the case may be, and that was a good coaching staff, and they did a really good job of scheming us and whatnot, and we just executed better, and we had the better team. So, like I said, I don't ever want, there's the internet, and there's apps, and there's all this negative stuff that coaches have to go through, and it's just not a place that I wanted to put that coaching staff in and whatnot. And it's for me, I was sitting there thinking about this week with Emerson. I'm like, I don't care if it's 2-0. I just want to win the game. But you never want to put anybody in a situation like that to have to listen to all that negativity that goes into coaching and whatnot. And that guy, Coach Stokes, he does it the right way. And nobody will really identify the fact that he does do it the right way. It's about those kids. He's pouring into those kids. He's loving those kids. He's doing everything in the right way when it comes to running a program. They're just not having success. And the thing that's crazy about the world that we live in today is it's about that. It's not about everything else. So my heart goes out to those kids and those coaches. And it was the first thing I told my wife. I was like, golly, it really breaks me to that happen, and she was like, "Who cares?" But
Tell them
I
to score
kept-
more,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So,
Okay.
so
So records overall. I mean, because that's what I do is I bring you all these notes and say,
yeah,
well,
heck
if so and so gets 100 yards rushing this
Yeah,
week, or
heck yeah.
do you think about those things at all during the game? If he gets one more catch, or if he gets 10 more yards rushing, or
No.
can you factor any of that in?
No. It was funny. One of my offensive coaches said, "Hey, if Bear gets 150 yards this past week, he'll be leading the district in rushing." And I was like, "I just want to get the dub. I could care less of if Bear. I want Bear to have a successful night every night, but I don't care if he gets 150 yards or if he gets 1 yard. I want to win." And no, it does not enter my brain. There's been people that say, throw whatever you're down or run it every down. I don't. If we run it every down, we win. Yes. If we throw it every down, we win. Yes. No, sir. No, sir. I want every kid to have those cool things. Like, I don't know if anyone will ever beat Maynard's 20 touchdowns in a season. I don't know. And I think Nye is, I don't know what he's
got 11.
He's got 11. And, if he got to, 20 and tied it, when we were in a situation, it would not cross my mind to, hey, let's throw it tonight to get the record. You know what I mean? So I just want to win.
Not only was the score 75-6, Melissa Cardinals over the Independence Knights, total yards. Did you see the stat?
I did not. I saw the rushing yards.
630
That's not bad.
total yards
That's not bad.
to 183.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. But once again, that goes back to my offensive staff doing an unbelievable job of formulating the game plan and the kids executing the game plan. And then on the defensive side of it, it's the same thing. And then realistically, the defensive side, they had to adjust. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to pump myself up a little bit, but the year that we went 12-2, I got to do my first video series, and I spoke at a ton of clinics that year. And one of the concepts was one of the running schemes they were running against us. And during the game, I could not figure out what they were doing. And me and Coach Pennington are talking. After the game, you play, rewind. I'm like, there it is. That is my scheme. And they just did a great job. They were pulling center guard and reading our nose and folding the backside of it. And you could run buck based off of what the nose did, or you could pull it and run midline. And make a long story short, it was so cool to see somebody else do it. And but it was so good that Coach Pennington and his staff adjusted to it, because that was one of their best plays of the night, and we just couldn't figure it out early. And then Coach Pennington made an adjustment and stopped it. So. But kudos to them, kudos to those kids, and for executing, and just what a great homecoming night.
I told Robert Rich during the broadcast it's not my job to name the opponent's players of the game, but if I did, it was their kicker.
Yeah, he was good. He was a good kicker. He was a really, really good kicker. I don't know how far the one was.
He made 41 and 43.
Okay, the 43 one blew my mind.
They were setting up for 46 and didn't do field goal on that third attempt, so he only got 2 attempts.
The 43 one blew my mind just because of the fact of, at that time, and you had to be on the field, but there was a little bit of wind in his face, and I was like, I think this is going to push, and he drilled it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
So that's their 6 points, and you had a little more than that, 75. So that took your record to 5-2 overall on the season,
Yep.
4-1 in the district. We're going to talk about this week's game in a moment. But a few season stats. Bear Tabor averaging 6.5 yards a carry.
It's really good.
5 touchdowns on the ground, 575 yards. Your quarterback's running 6 yards a carry.
That's pretty good, too.
He also has 5 touchdowns. Shoeback, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Mm-hmm. He's completing 60% of his passes. Jacob Nye, averaging 18 yards a catch with 11 touchdowns. Brett Poole,
that's pretty good.
Averaging 17 yards per catch with 3 touchdowns, and he didn't play this past week.
Correct.
So you were at 51-49 pass to rush last week, so I guess you told Hamilton to fix that because you're exactly 50-50. Exactly 50-50 now.
Yes, sir.
You weren't balanced enough before. So 485 yards per game, exactly 50-50, averaging 49 points per game on offense. So you're picking up 485 yards, giving up 227.
Yep.
So 2-1 margin there. And 49-18, to almost a 3-1 scoring margin.
That's pretty good. But once again, every day we've got to get better, and every day we've got to be 1-0. And once again, that goes back to the coaches coming up with the plan, kids executing the plan. And when everyone is buying in and believing into the same process, man, you're tough. And that's what's going on right now. Our coaches are coming up with game plans. Like sometimes I go into that offensive game planning room, and I'm thinking I'm this big dog, and I'm the smartest guy in the room, and you start to listen, and you're like, man, I'm glad I don't have to play us. And then I go in there and listen to the defensive room. They're a little bit more my age, so it's a little bit more calm, cool, and collective. And but you listen to them, and you're like, oh my gosh, it would be really hard for me to scheme us. Now I know the rules and things like that, but just based off of it. But then that goes to the kids, and we've got an unbelievable group of boys that believe in the process and believe in what we're trying to sell, and they're executing. And when you execute, it doesn't matter. You will have success. So just super proud of our coaching staff and our athletes and the direction we're heading.
We do want to thank our friends at the Dugout Sports Grill for being the sponsor of today's program. Doug Zatto and Cindy Casson and all the great folks at the Dugout over there at the Z-Plex. Make sure you visit them for dinner and go play some sports and watch some sports and all kinds of things over there at the Dugout. We're going to introduce you to our players of the game in just a moment. But first, Coach, I'll ask you to comment on linebacker Max Corbin and your punt returner, Xavier Ramirez.
Yeah. Max he's been with us for a couple years, and, I can't say enough about Max just because of the fact that he is an unbelievable person. Like it doesn't matter. Like he is the poster child of what you're looking for in a person and in a teammate. He is so selfless. He came in and he wanted to play quarterback. And if you saw him, you got to sit next to him. He looks like he's got the body of a big old quarterback, and just overall, just his. I'm going to do whatever's best for the team, and that doesn't really exist that much in the world anymore. And the best thing for the team was, hey, play linebacker, and he definitely looks like a linebacker, but he goes out and he just does exactly what he's coached to do, and he finds success. But he is an unbelievable athlete, but he is just a better person. He's going to be everything that you could think of when it comes to being that citizen who's going to do things for others, that husband who's going to be just the perfect husband to his wife, and that father that's going to be just the greatest leader of his household and the example that it can be for his family. And then Xavier, it's kind of funny about Xavier. They've been fighting for Xavier. Xavier's first varsity game was Friday night, and they've been fighting.
Nice way to start.
Yeah, they've been fighting for Xavier for a while now, and I've been pushing them aside.
You need to say who they is.
Pretty much every coach.
That's what I meant. The coaches were wanting him on the varsity.
Yes.
When you say they're fighting, nobody knows what that means.
So it was pretty much it was mostly the offensive coaching staff, because Xavier is a very talented receiver. And Coach Witt was like, he can return punts. Let's bring him up. And I was like, yeah, cool, And we got to a point where in the game, and I don't remember the score, but they were punting, and Xavier was out there. This was the punt that he took back.
Third quarter.
And I'll be honest with you, Brother Graham, I was upset, because I was like, he is going to drop it.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Yes. And I'm going to be mad because, at that point I want to play clean football all three phases of the game. And I was, yeah. And then he caught it, and I was like, and I remember on the headset
At least he
going,
caught it?
Yeah, exactly what I said on the headset. I said, well, at least he caught it. And then it was just boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
boop. And I was just like, oh, Lordy. So my deal for him is what an unbelievable moment that he'll always remember. You know, how cool is that for the rest of his life? Hey, man, my first time on the varsity, I returned a punt for a touchdown. And not just that, but he is a special, special player. You know, and he's going to be one of those people that people are talking about next year and the year after that, like how unbelievable Xavier Ramirez actually is, because he really is a talented, gifted athlete and football player. The one thing I love about Xavier the most is his overall personality. He is such a people pleaser, and he is so kind-hearted. And that's the thing too. Like, there's a lot of kids that I can talk about, Melissa kids, who are just sweet, great kids. Now, you know, Melissa has her knuckleheads just like everybody else, but Xavier's a sweet, kind-hearted young man, and those are kids that are just fun to be around, and it's fun to see his success. So I'm super proud of him and excited about his future.
So we will say congratulations to Max Corbin and Xavier Ramirez. You'll get to meet them in just a moment. We'll show you a couple of their highlights as well. We invite you and your family every Sunday morning to our church home at First Melissa. Go to firstmelissa.com to visit the website and find out a lot more. Sunday morning worship services, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. firstmelissa.com. We'll take a break, meet our players of the game, and then we'll come back and continue our conversation with Coach Nally right after this. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. You're getting to meet our players of the game for the big victory over Frisco Independence. First, you're going to get to meet Max Corbin. He had a 59-yard interception return for a touchdown. Junior number 4, Max Corbin. Congratulations on being one of our players of the game.
Yes, sir. Thank you. It was a really good game.
You haven't been on the show before?
I have not.
You haven't even watched the show very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so don't tell all your teammates that you didn't watch their interviews. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first of all, what is the game plan going into the Independence game? You guys were the definite favorites, of course. What was the game plan going in?
You know, they tend to throw a ball a lot. They throw a lot more than they run. So their favorite target was number 0. So really, we just kind of shifted to that side. And we're very confident in our D-line. Our D-line and our middle linebackers are very good. You know, Rocky and Jake, they're really good at fitting down in the run. So we know as long as we can kind of shut down some of that pass stuff, the rest of our team will really take it down, because I'm really confident in their ability to do their jobs.
So you're an outside linebacker,
Yes,
which
sir.
means you're sort of a linebacker and sort of a DB.
Yes, sir.
What makes a good outside linebacker?
A lot of it's really just reaction time. You know, there's obviously speed, strength, stuff like that, but really it's just about the confidence in your actions and where you plan to go.
Okay, talk about playing the run versus playing the pass.
The run, we end up kind of like a middle backer. We play like a middle backer, and sometimes we play like a D end. If we get a certain call, we'll get up in the D line. We'll go fit the run up in the D line, and if we get a certain call, we'll go play the edge and really contain them in to force them into our inside linebackers.
So how does that role fit in with the rest of the team? You're counting on other guys, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
talk about the teamwork.
We play a lot of it's very dependent on gaps, so people need to be where they need to be. So we fit outside, and our inside backers fit inside of us, and it's like a trap. Or the D-line will fit somewhere, and we'll fit off of them so we can trap them. It's really our D-line and middle backers do a really great job at making everybody else look good. And so once we fit together, it works perfectly. We trap them in. We do whatever we can to take them down. We all rally up.
So there's the football term, seal the edge,
Yes.
or maintain the edge.
Yes, sir.
Tell people what that means.
Really just you're doing whatever you can to not let them outside. As long as you can keep them from staying outside and push them into everybody else up the middle, that's what we're trying to do.
Good. What have your coaches taught you?
Ooh, they've taught me pretty much everything I know. I'm a little bit new to this position, actually. I played offense every year but this year. And they've really everything I know. Like, they've taught me pretty much how to tackle, what to do. They've really built confidence in my reactions. They've taught me pretty much everything.
Were you glad to make the change?
Oh yeah, I think it's fun. I love defense. I love hitting people. I love doing my job, and I love winning. So.
Good. What's your favorite class in school?
Ooh, I really like history. I've always loved history. I think it's always been just something I geek out over a little bit. So that's probably my favorite class.
And what do you want to do after high school?
I either want to play college football or college baseball. I also play baseball. And if that doesn't work out, I want to become a financial advisor and start my own business after a few years.
Good. Do you prefer baseball over football, or do you have a preference? I know Coach Nally's right there, but you can say it anyway.
I like football a lot better. I think there's a lot better opportunities for it, and I think nothing compares to coming out and playing on Fridays and helping your team and being with your buddies. I think there's nothing better than that. Celebrating with them after, you just can't beat it.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank
One
you.
of our players of the game, Max Corbin, had an interception return for a touchdown. We'll take a break, let you see one of his highlights, and then we'll come back and meet our next player of the game right after this. Candidate to take home the title already tonight. Second down 10.
Oh,
They
interception.
throw it. Max Corbin with the interception. He's going to
He's
take it to
going
the
to the
house.
house.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Cardinals. Touchdown, Max Corbin. He goes 55 yards on the interception return for the touchdown, and the Cardinals lead 20-3. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham. You're getting to meet our players of the game. You met Max Corbin a moment ago. Now you get to meet Xavier Ramirez, one of our other players of the game for the big victory over Independence. Sophomore number 17 had a 51-yard punt return for a touchdown. And I bet you know this already, but you had a whole lot of family members watching the broadcast.
Yes,
Do you know
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
Your aunts and grandparents and other people, right?
Yes, sir.
Mostly from where? California or El Paso?
El
or-
Paso, yes,
yeah?
sir. And then a whole bunch of family here from Dallas, too. They all came to support me at the game.
Well, wonderful.
Yes, sir.
And all you did was return a punt for a touchdown.
Yes, sir.
All right, you're not the normal punt returner.
Yeah, they just brought me up, I think, like a week ago. I mean, I've been working this whole summer since spring ball and all that to try to get up on the varsity roster, which I finally did. Is good. I mean, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So did you know you were going to return punts in the game?
Yeah, they had told me, they were telling me the whole week, like, how I was going to be the second punt returner and that when I went to try to show what I could do and everything. And I got to do that.
Okay. Now, you made some nice moves and some speed, but you got to have blocking, right?
Yes, sir.
So talk about that whole play.
I mean, on that first play, I actually got tackled. Like, he was there in front of me, and once I put the ball in my other hand and I was running to the field when I saw my blockers, I gave that guy the stiff arm, and I knew I was gone from there because everybody did their stuff, and we scored that play.
And how did the team react when you finished?
They were all happy for me, how I scored and everything. It was a good moment that we had.
What other positions do you play besides punt return?
I do punt return and I play receiver.
Okay. How long have you lived in Melissa?
Since 7th grade, which like 3 years. I
Okay.
think.
And where before that?
El Paso.
Okay. So did all the folks that were watching the game, did they call you or text you afterwards?
Yeah, my whole family and everybody texted me, congratulating me.
So they were watching and saw it happen.
Yes, sir.
Very good. What makes a good punt returner?
I mean, just being able to see the whole field and your eye vision mostly, and just protecting the ball as much as you can, and put your offense in a great field position for we could go score on offense too.
I don't think people who've never done it really understand it.
Yeah.
Because you're looking up in the air while these guys are
Yeah.
trying to nail you coming forward, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
you gotta watch your blockers. I'm talking before the ball gets there.
Yes,
You got to
sir.
see your blockers, you got to see the coverage guys, and you got to find the ball.
Yes, sir.
How do you make all that work at once?
So I don't know. You just gotta lock in and focus before you could do your job for your team and put them in a great field position.
Good. What have your coaches taught you?
Everything I know since I got in here. I used to play middle linebacker and outside linebacker in middle school, and when I got here my freshman year, I switched to receiver. And Coach Way and Coach Hammy and all them taught me what I know now, which makes me like a better person than from the last time I had originally started playing this.
Good. What's your favorite class during school day?
Algebra was likely because, I mean, I like math a lot. I like my teacher teaching me math and all that, which is, I don't know.
That's okay. And as a sophomore, you're one of the underclassmen. So what do the juniors and seniors do? How do they serve as your leaders on the team?
Just like role models, kind of, because I've been looking up to most of them since I was a freshman and like learning stuff from them. They've been helping me a lot, just buying into the process and everything, what they've helped me with. Just them picking me up when I make a bad play, and when I make a good play, they hype me up and all that stuff.
Good. And what do you want to do after high school?
I want to go play college football.
Good. Do you have a favorite team?
Either the Longhorns or Oregon.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Well, congratulations on being one of our players of the game.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Xavier Ramirez had a punt return for a touchdown in the big victory over Independence. We're going to show you that highlight, and we'll come back and talk more with Coach Matt Nally right after this. And number 17, Xavier Ramirez, will go in to be the punt returner for this play for the Cardinals. And he's got some fans who are checking in as well of his who are sending emails in. Jessica Mendez cheering on Xavier Ramirez in El Paso.
This is his opportunity to shine. Hopefully they'll kick it to him and he'll get a chance.
4th and long. It's a low snap and the kick is away. And her makes the grab at the midfield stripe, makes a man miss, makes another man miss, makes a cut.
He's got some wiggle.
At the 40, at the 30. Showing some speed. He's at the 25 and the 20-yard line, and he's going to go in for a punt return touchdown.
There's the special teams touchdown.
Jessica Mendez in El Paso. Jesse Mendez, your relative, just went in for a punt return for touchdown by Xavier Ramirez. And Robert Rich asked for a special teams touchdown, and he just got one. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show this week, sponsored by our friends at the Dugout Sports Grill. Visit them. Go get some good dinner and hang out at a cool place over there with the Dugout Sports Grill. And we're getting you ready for the game this week at the Star against Frisco Emerson. My name is Trey Graham. That's Cardinals head football coach Matt Nally. The 5-2 Cardinals, who are 4-1 in the district, will be taking on the 5-3 team from Emerson High School. They are 3-3 in the district. Schools that have never played each other before. And we'll get into that game in a little bit more specific in a minute, but we have promised to take the Cardinal Scoreboard Show on the road every week, and we've been all over this facility.
Yes,
and we're in the lounge.
Yes, sir.
The Championship Center lounge here. The weight room is right there. We've been in there before. Of course, the field is behind us, and the dugout's over there if you want to go to dinner. And so we've been all over the facility. So this room, I'm going to start the list, and you can tell me. It's a staff meeting room. It's a parent meeting room. It's a classroom. It's film room. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a person, it would be the person that
This
wears
is
the
the
most
Swiss
hats.
Army knife room?
Yeah, I mean this room right here. I mean, there's so many different things that you know it does. Like on Friday nights when it's games are here, you know, our coaches' families sit here. They call it the porch, and the families bring food, and kids can run around in here and whatnot, and they eat and things like that. And we do all of our signings in here. It's an unbelievable room that we do. We have team dinners before games in here on Fridays. So this thing is it's an unbelievable room, and we do all of our parent before the season starts, parent meetings and stuff like that. It is just it's an awesome room to have, and it's really just a great addition to the Championship Center, and it goes once again to our community and our administration for doing the right thing for kids, and it is very appreciative. And once again, like I said, this room is probably overly used. So
just to orient you, the locker rooms are right down the hall there, and the run-through tunnel that you see at the beginning of the game is right behind us. So the teams leave the locker room, come into this room just briefly, and go out the doors that are back to our left there. Right. So the field is right behind us. And the question of the day, how do you find coaches and hire coaches? You have turnover. People retire. People move on to other jobs. Jason Russell gets to be the head coach down the street over there at Blue Ridge, things like that. So how are you looking for and hiring coaches?
Well, first off, shout out to Coach Russell and Coach Spann. They're doing a great job there at Blue Ridge. It's kind of like the real world. The first thing that we do when we have a coaching opening, there's a website. It's THSCA, which is Texas High School Coaches Association. We go to that website, and you can post that job on that website. And then a lot of it has to do with, in all reality, like Coach Jones is a perfect example. Coach Hemsley knew Coach Jones's dad. So, hey, we're going to reach out to Coach Jones, bringing him for an interview. There's a lot of that. Coach White, he applied through THSCA. That's how we got Coach White. Coach Gonzalez applied through THSCA, and that's how we got him. But a lot of it has to do with, it just is what it is, but who knows you? So when you bring a guy in and you interview him, and I'm sure you've been in this situation in your profession as well, and you really like him. Well, then you start, you go down the rabbit hole of, like, they have their 5 references. And you're like, all right, cool. I'm not calling any of those 5 references. I'm going to see where these people have been at, and then I'm going to call people that I know that have worked with these people before. And then I will call those 5 references after I've gotten really good communication from other people.
And if you don't get a good report,
don't hire them.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be that, and that's just the world that we live in today. There was a guy I loved last year, and if it was up to me and I didn't call anybody or anything like that, he would be here. And we had a coach that knew a guy, yada, yada, yada. Make a long story short, they got a bad report. I called that coach, got a bad report, and he's not here. But, the one thing that, Mr. Murphy and Coach Stinton really push is, we're going to be the best, but to be the best, you got to hire the best. So we're gonna go and hire the best people. So I like interviewing people. I think it's fun. I really enjoy, like, I don't like the standardized, like they have 20 questions or whatever the case may be. Like, I want to get to know the person as a person. To me, like, when it comes to football and athletics and whatnot, I can teach you the culture. I can teach you schemes and stuff like that. But we spend so much time with each other that I've got to make sure that we can get along. Because there's a lot of time that, and we've talked about it on this show, but, there's 80, 90, 100 hours a week that you're spending with these group of men. And you got to get along. And not just that, but in the coaching profession, and I'm sure it's like this in every other profession, but in the coaching profession, you can get, your ego can get in the way real quick. And I can't have egotistical guys on our staff either. I got to have guys that are going to be like.
okay, but you want to have ambitious guys.
Absolutely.
Coach Russell, Jason, we call him Coach Russell Jr., right? He was a tremendous coach for you,
Yeah.
but he wanted to be a head coach.
Absolutely. Heck
So
yeah.
how do you balance that?
Well, one of the first things I ask them is what's your 5-year plan? And if within their 5-year plan they don't talk about moving up the ladder, we're not having that discussion anymore. Like, I want somebody that's not going to be, I just want to be an offensive line coach for the rest of my life. There are people out there that want to do those things, and that's great. But for me, and I could be wrong on this, but for me, I want that ambitious guy. I want that guy who wants to get better, because the only way you're going to move up is to get better. And if you're not willing to get better, and you just, hey, I'm just good being an outside backer coach or whatever the case may be, you have no right to be here. Like, that's just how I feel about it. And because I want the kids to get the best. And there's a lot of people that I know that just, for years they just coach a position, and that's what they want to do, and that's what they love doing and whatnot in life. But and they're excellent at it. They're really, really good at it. But most of those guys are the people that were coordinators, head coaches, and they're kind of on the back end of their careers, and they just kind of want to, hey, I love coaching, because essentially you get into coaching because you enjoy competition, you enjoy the camaraderie of everything, you really enjoy being around kiddos, and that's when you get into it. And then as you start to climb the ladder, then all those things, they don't change in the regards of your passion and your love, but it changes because your mindset isn't on that anymore. It's more like, for me, when I was the offensive coordinator, I got to be the OC for the first time here. It was, okay, I've got my vision. I did put my different set of goggles on, and then when I became the head coach, it was a different set of goggles on. And a lot of people, they want to go back to taking those goggles off and just kind of get back to the pure piece of why are we doing what we're doing, and they're unbelievable at that and whatnot. But the coaches here, like I said, and they're based off of being a good person first.
Okay, two more parts to this question. First one, does it matter at what level they played the game? You've got guys that played in the NFL.
Correct.
And you got guys that weren't even very good in high school, right?
Correct.
So does it matter what kind of player they were?
No, so like I said, I don't like the basic 20 questions. So what I like is we're going to get to know you, blah 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 blah. Okay, you're running a program. You can do whatever you want. Okay, tell us about your program, and then allow them to speak about it. And then the next thing I say is okay, cool. If say this is for a defensive position. All right, your program, your defense, show us. And you have to get a coach on the board. Just because of the fact there's coaches out there that can speak all that clinic talk and can do all those things and whatnot, but you're going to really see their talents when they get on the board. And just because
Whiteboard with markers is what he means, yeah.
and there's a lot of times like people, I know a lot of coaches that were terrible athletes. I mean, there's coaches in the NFL and in college that never played football, but they're just so genius in the regard of the game. And there's things like
So a great player is not automatically a great coach.
No, 100% correct. 100% correct. So like, there's multiple people that are on our staff and people that I've known before that, they get on that board and you're like, when they're talking, you're like, I just don't know. And then they get on that board and you're like, oh, okay, this is different. This isn't what I expected. And the reason I like to do it is for two reasons. Is A, I think an interview is an opportunity for that person to get better. So what can I do to help this person get better? And then B, like, is this for me? Like, can I learn something or take something from this person? So it's 100% we go from, can this person fit in? Can he coach? And I can find out based off of him drawing on the board. Okay, cool. Well, he can fit in, but he can't coach. He can't coach at Melissa. He can't fit in 100%. He can't coach.
Okay, but the other part of that question is, this is a high school.
Correct.
They have to teach world history,
right,
or biology,
correct,
or algebra. So that has to fit into
right,
the equation. You can't have every one of them as an algebra teacher,
right,
or a PE teacher.
Right.
So where does that fit in?
So once again, it goes. That's going to be Marcus Eckert in the leadership team there at the high school. They do so. Say Coach Russell. Well, he's a bad example. He was PE. Coach Rosh. He left. Well, he was at PE. He was at the middle school. Coach Span. He taught special ed. So when we put that stuff out there on the internet, that has to be a piece of it too. Like, this is the deal. So what we do as a coaching staff.
Just so you know, in Texas UIL rules, Texas high school coaches have to be
correct,
full-time employees of the district.
Right.
They have to be teachers.
Correct.
That's not true in all states.
No.
And so people who are new to Melissa or new to Texas might not know that. You can be the banker or the preacher or the whatever,
right,
and come coach in the afternoons.
Correct.
Here,
Correct.
you have to be a full-time district employee.
Right. So what we do is we interview the coach first, and if we think this is a coach that's a good candidate, so that's why we don't bring in one or two guys. I usually bring about 5 or 6, just because they are going to have to go through that process again with Coach or Mr. Eckert and his staff. And if Mr. Eckert gets the thumbs up from us and he likes them, then we go in that direction.
So it starts with you?
Starts with us, and then we send them to Mr. Eckert and his team, and
That's the high school principal.
They kind of give the final approval. But once again, like they don't mess around over there. I try to make it kind of fun, and I'm trying to get to know you.
So you're the good cop?
Yes.
Okay.
Where over there, it's a grueling process, but at the same point in time, they're looking for really good teachers. And there's an old adage, if you're a good teacher, you're a good coach. And I believe that, because at the end of the day, like Mike Leach is an example. He never played football ever. And but once again, he's a good teacher. Charlie Weiss is another one, good teacher. Charlie Weiss's son's another one, good teacher. And it really doesn't have to do with the overall your playing experience. I just don't think that's a big deal because you could play, and I'm going to say this: Tom Brady, played at the highest, and he might be the greatest of all time, but it doesn't mean he's going to be the greatest coach ever either. So I think that it's a talent that is ordained to you rather than just something that you kind of have. So
The story about that is, the original Texas Rangers moved here from the Washington Senators. This is long before you were born, before I was born. But their manager was Ted Williams.
Yeah. Yep.
And all the stories
Yep.
were he was a bad coach, a bad manager in baseball because nobody was as good as he was,
Right.
and he expected them to be.
Correct. And that's the crazy thing about coaching too, and a lot of people, because their kid comes home to them, whereas we have in the football program right now we have 252 different kids. And you're dealing with 252 different kids, different personalities, what's going on in their lives and whatnot. And you kind of have to have a good temperament because at the end of the day, you're dealing with so many things and whatnot. And the thing to me is I believe education, people who are teachers, people who are coaches, people who are in this profession, I do believe, and I'm biased, but I do believe that it is a taken for granted profession just because of everything that people really don't see. They think, oh, that math teacher teaches math. That's not all he or she does. They do so much more than just teach math. They want your kid to be the best math student they can be. And a lot of people, she or he's picking on my kid or whatever the case may be. And that isn't the case. It's just really difficult in the education world sometimes where there's just so much more than just math, science, football, volleyball, whatever the case may be, that is going on. And we're not even talking about that person's life. We're talking about other people's lives. And I'm sure, you deal with the same thing within your profession. Like there's so many people within your congregation that you're dealing with. And, old Pastor Graham, he has the whole week off and just works on Sundays,
I've heard that before.
There's so much that goes into it. And, you're trying to pursue excellence for those people, but you're also trying to push yourself to be excellent as well. So, like I said, I think it's a taking granted of profession. But I'm telling you right now, there's some of the greatest people on the planet that are educators.
We do have a game this Friday.
Yep.
We better talk about Frisco Emerson for a moment.
Yep.
Never played each other before, so there's some newness there. Going back to the Star, and there's familiarity there.
Yeah, yep.
Give us a preview of Friday.
I think that Emerson is a dangerous team. People talk about, they got beat by Lovejoy 48-7 and whatnot, and they lost to Walnut Grove and Anna, and they probably are done. I don't think that's true. I think they're a dangerous team because, I was talking to the kids about it on Saturday. I want you to think about it. If you had lost 3 games in a row and you're sitting there, you're not sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. You're mad. And you're ready to get back out there and say, let's go to work. It's not about, poor, pitiful me. It's about, hey, we're fixing to get this thing figured out. And not just that, they're a dangerous team because they have to beat us to get into the playoffs and for them to have a playoff opportunity. So this is not a team that anyone needs to overlook. This is a team that we need to go out and through our consistency and our discipline and whatnot to execute during the week. And it's going to happen on Friday night and allow us to dominate the game and win the game. But we cannot take Emerson lightly. That is a really good coaching staff over there with Coach Miller, and that's a really good football team. So we better bring our sack lunch when it comes to Friday night in the Star.
We look forward to bringing you the broadcast here on the Melissa Cardinals Network this Friday at the Star. Frisco Emerson hosting your Melissa Cardinals. Thanks again to our friends at the Dugout for being the sponsor of this week's broadcast. Remember, you and your family are invited to join us at First Melissa Sunday mornings 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. The website is firstmelissa.com. You've gotten to meet our players of the week and that huge victory over Independence, 75-6. Tying the school record for most points ever, and choosing not to set the record for the most points ever. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you on Friday at the Star. For Coach Matt and Allie, this is Trey Graham saying good night from the Championship Center.